Daniel 7 is a prophecy about 4 beasts, and these 4 beasts represent 4 kingdoms. So, the first beast was a lion that had eagle's wings on its side, and those wings were torn off, and it raised up on its hind legs and was given the heart of a man. This represents Nebuchadnezzar. God actually entered into a covenant with Nebuchadnezzar. That's what the eagle's wings represent. God calls Nebuchadnezzar his servant, which God only calls a handful of people in the Bible, including Jesus, his servant. But Nebuchadnezzar became prideful. And when Nebuchadnezzar became prideful, God tore authority away from him, and he was given the heart of a man. In other words, he would have the desires of a man instead of the desires of God. And so Babylon fell. It was conquered by the Medeo-Persian Empire. Now the Medeo-Persian Empire is represented by the bear. That's the second beast from the book, from the Daniel chapter 7. The second beast is a bear. The reason why it's a bear is because the Medeo-Persians would have these large, burly armies. Darius and some of the other Medes and the Persian rulers sometimes would have armies as big as 250,000 men. I mean, these are just gigantic armies. But one side of the bear was raised up, and that's because the Medes had a stronger, more pull in this alliance. They had a greater say-so. There's 3 ribs in this bear's mouth. That represents the 3 conquests of the Medeo-Persians. The third beast was the leopard. The leopard had 4 heads and 4 wings. Those 4 heads represent, and the reason why it was a leopard is because Alexander the Great and his empire was cat-like. It was fast. It had 4 heads because when Alexander the Great died, his empire was broken into 4 different kingdoms based upon 4 generals that were under him. The 4th beast, and we're going to pick up with this 4th beast. The 4th beast, let's just start with verse 7, Daniel 7, verse 7. After that, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. So it didn't have small iron teeth like a human has small teeth. This animal had large iron teeth. And we remember from Daniel 2 that iron represented the Roman Empire. It crushed and devoured, and of course the Roman Empire was inherited by the Holy Roman Empire of the Germanic peoples. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns. That's going to be very important. Verse 8, while I was thinking about the horns. So he's having this vision, and his mind begins to ponder upon the horns. See, what we ponder, the things of God that we ponder, God gives us revelation on. There before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them. And 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a human being and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as wool, the hair of his head white like wool. His throne was a flaming fire, and all the wheels were ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. Then I continued to watch because of the boastful words the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was slain, and its body destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire. The other beasts had been stripped of their authority, but were allowed to live for a period of time. Now, stop right there. Let's go down to verse 15. Let's keep reading here. And so what we just got in Daniel 7 was the same thing we saw in Daniel 2, but told a different way. In Daniel 2, we saw the progression of empires from Nebuchadnezzar until Jesus comes back and conquers a revived Roman Empire led by Germany. We see the same thing in Daniel 7. Let's just keep reading, verse 15. I, Daniel, was troubled in spirit, and the visions that passed through my mind disturbed me. I approached one of those standing there and asked him the meaning of all this. So he told me and gave me the interpretation of these things. The four great beasts are four kings that will rise from the earth, but the holy or four kingdoms that will rise from the earth. Verse 18, but the holy people of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever. Yes, forever and ever. Verse 19. Then I wanted to know the meaning of the fourth beast, which was different from all others and most terrifying. So it was the strongest empire of all. Remember, iron is stronger than bronze, silver, and gold, with its iron teeth and bronze claws. Whoop, stop right there. We learn a detail here we didn't get in the vision. In the interpretation, we learn that the fourth beast with iron teeth also has bronze claws. Now, what does bronze represent? Greece. Oh, Lord Jesus. See, the Roman Empire, the Greeks, all the Romans did when they conquered the Greeks is they renamed everything. So that's why you have Greco-Roman literature, Greco-Roman architecture, everything's Greco-Roman. And because God already said in the Bible that the iron beast, the Roman Empire, would maintain Greek influence to the very end. The beast that was crushed and devoured, the beast that crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. Verse 20, I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on its head and about the other horn that came up, before which 3 of them fell. The horn that looked more imposing than the others, and that had eyes and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I watched, this horn was waging war against the holy people and defeating them, until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the holy people of the Most High, and the time came when they possessed the kingdom. Verse 23, he gave me this explanation. The fourth beast is a fourth kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. The 10 horns are 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. After them, another king will arise, different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. The holy people will be delivered into his hands for times and half a time. But the court will sit and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever and ever. Then the sovereignty, the power, and the greatness of all kingdoms under heaven will be handed over to the holy people of the Most High. Stop right there. Let me just go ahead and summarize. If you'll remember from Daniel chapter 2, the rock, which was Christ, came and struck the image of Daniel 2 on the feet. That's very important, because it shows us that Jesus is coming back to defeat the feet of clay and iron, which is, again, the feudalistic Roman Empire led by Germany. Here we see the same thing repeated. This fourth, it says right here, verse 26, but the court will sit and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever and ever. He's talking about the little horn and the fourth beast, the power of this beast being taken away and that power never being given back. So when Jesus comes back, he's coming back to judge this fourth beast and this little horn. Now, let's get into a little bit of history. The fourth beast we know represents the Roman Empire. It said it would devour the whole earth. And it did devour many of the known nations at that time to the Western world. But the Germanic peoples have devoured the whole earth as well. Think about World War II. It took almost every known natural resource available to be funneled into the military effort to defeat Nazi Germany in World War II. That's the definition of devouring the whole earth. They rationed food and certain supplies in the United States and other nations of the world because the resources were required to defeat Nazi Germany. And that is coming back again, my friends. The Germans are coming back. You have to understand Germany has just approved thousands of copies of Mein Kampf to be printed. Hasn't been printed since World War II. Germany has been putting labels on items made in the land of Israel. It's important for us to realize that the Germanic peoples are going to return and revive the Roman Empire once again. People are not looking for this, my friends, but it is going to happen. Why? Because God said it was going to happen. Because God said that this fourth beast was going to devour the whole earth. And so because God said it was going to happen, it will happen. Because God is true and every man is a liar. But let's talk history here. This fourth beast represents the Roman Empire. Now, there were 10 horns on this beast, according to Daniel chapter 7. There were 10 Germanic tribes that conquered the Roman Empire. And I'm going to try and list these off the top of my head. I may forget some, but I'll do my best. The Franks, the Saxons, the Thuringians, the Lombards, the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Heruli, the Vandals, the Burgundians, and the Alemanni. Those are the 10 horns that came out of the Roman Empire. Those are the 10 Germanic tribes that conquered the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was subdued in 476 AD by Germanic tribes. In 486 AD, the last Roman legion was defeated by Clovis, king of the Franks. But 3 of those tribes were uprooted by a little horn. Who is the little horn, my friends? Let's talk about that. The 3 horns that were uprooted, the first horn that was uprooted was the Heruli. They were uprooted from the land of Italy. And their last king was Odoacer. The next kingdom to be uprooted, or the next horn, was the Ostrogoths. They were uprooted from Italy. The third to be uprooted was the Lombards. What happened when the Lombards were uprooted is the Catholic Church established itself as a kingdom. This is from Catholic history. I'm getting into Catholic history. The very first Pope King, which is the little horn, was established in 755 AD. Stephen III, Pope Stephen III was called the first Pope King. Now, he is the little horn. Those were the 3 kingdoms uprooted from Italy so that the papacy could have a kingdom in Italy. Now, what does the Bible tell us about the little horn? Let's go deeper here. Verse 25. He will speak against the Most High. Earlier this year, the Pope said that Christ's work on the cross was a failure. If that's not speaking against the Most High, my friends, I don't know what is. Said he will oppress the holy people. The Catholic Church has been behind inquisitions. The Catholic Church has been responsible for these things. It says he will change the set times. What are the set times? The Aramaic word here is Zaman, and it's the Hebrew equivalent of Moed. It refers to the festivals of Leviticus 23. Most Christians don't know this, but the Catholic Church is responsible for changing the festivals. The early church did not keep Easter. The early church did not keep Christmas. The early church kept Passover, tabernacles. This is well documented. This is history. This is not my opinion, my friends. They changed the Sabbath. This is history. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm not giving you doctrine. God is saying it. God is telling us here, but it's revealed in the last days. And it said that he would also change the laws. What are the laws he's referring to? He's referring to the 10 Commandments. The Catholic Church has changed the 10 Commandments. They got rid of the second commandment against idolatry. Look up the Catholic 10 Commandments. I have the writings. I can prove this. They got rid of the second commandment against idolatry, and they added 2 commandments for coveting. So in the Catholic 10 Commandments, there's no commandment against idolatry. Why? Because they have idols everywhere, which is an abomination to God. And then they have coveting as 2 commandments. They have thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. But that's not God's 10 Commandments. And so we were told by God here in Daniel 7 that the Pope, that the holy things of God would be changed. The biggest